All right, folks, welcome into the LA Sports Brotherhood. It's me, Ryan, here with my brother Matthew, and we are kind of in the aftermath of the shockwave that was sent around Laker Nation when Woj dropped that bomb about Dan Hurley being the primary target for the Lakers as the head coach, and I think kind of lost amongst all the hype, which I certainly participated in, was that Woj name dropped specific players as to who he thinks or who he in quotes thinks is going to be the future young core that they're supposedly trying to build around. And I say in quotes because Woj speaks directly for front offices. That's kind of I don't know if anyone's really paid attention to this. If you see a tweet from Shams Charania with the biggest, well, I guess the second biggest newsbreaker in basketball, he is speaking from the players and the agents. That's who he gets his information from pretty specifically. And you can tell by the way they word their tweets. Woj is a front office guy. So it's honestly a crazy dichotomy thinking about the different ways they get their information. But anyway, the fact that Woj is pointing out Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, and Max Christie specifically, and only those three as the next part of the young core, to me, made me think about who is really available for the Lakers this year. So, Matt, thinking about this idea of the Lakers prioritizing youth development, which is, again, the Woj in quotes words, which means just Rob Pelinka saying that, like, that's the future, and bringing in a youth development, not a youth development, but like a player developing college coach with an ironclad system that if you build it out, anyone can play in. Almost, I want to say Spoelstra level because that's what I want from the Lakers. I won't go that far because Spoelstra is an incredible coach, but that idea where if you have your system in place and it's consistent and you have your guys, you can kind of run it with anybody. That's what do you think about the players named, and what do you think about that direction for the Lakers?
I like it to an extent, although I'm a little confused why Vando wasn't on there. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what's up with that, but I like it to an extent because I like all those guys. I like Hurley. I think if you hire you know a coach that excellent with the scheme and these young guys, I love that. A little bit scared that it's like, okay, Darvin Ham sucked. We hire a great coach. Let's kind of stay packed. Let's stick with the young guys and not do anything. That is what scares me. And I don't know if that's like exactly what he meant, but I'm in between. I would love to keep these young guys, to hire a brilliant coach and then make a move that put us over the top. If we just do the coach and stay packed and we're like, okay, he's the coach is gonna elevate us over the Nuggets. That I don't like. But I mean, if we can't get Mitchell, we can't get Trey. If there's really no big fish out there, then I'd be happy with this, I guess.
Yeah, I actually think you bring up Trey Young and also just generally the idea of personnel. I think that's one of the biggest implications of change for me with this potential signing, or at least like the direction they're going to go. Truthfully, I don't think the Lakers leak this unless they thought it was going to happen because this is a genuine Lakers front office leak. Woj doesn't tweet from agents and stuff like I was saying. I think that this kind of changes the available personnel that you can go for. I don't think there's a chance D'Angelo Russell's on this team anymore. Hurley is, first of all, I don't think just personality wise, and I don't know these people. I'm not going to pretend to know these people, but just the way they present themselves and the way they talk about basketball, talk about whatever. Hurley and D'Lo do not seem like the type of player coach tandem that could exist together. Kind of like Pop and D'Lo. It's like it's as if Popovich, not success wise, just temperament wise, was like 5 times more emotionally volatile to start yelling at you. D'Lo is I simply nothing he's shown is that he will put up with that, which is whatever. That's fine. He's a grown man. He can do what he wants. But that means to me that we're gonna need another point guard. And also, you mentioned Trey Young. I think Trey Young not a target. I don't know how much of a target he was now, but if Hurley's a coach, Trey Young is not going to be touching the Lakers uniform. If there's a mandate of accountability for every single player that Hurley brings, which is good, and it's also why I think there's still question marks around the locker room fit with him and any NBA locker room, just because that's not what NBA players are about sometimes. because they're grown men and making millions and millions of dollars. So that's yet to be seen, and we'll see. I trust him to navigate that well. But yeah, like we hear people talk about not a Popovich guy, the same way they talk about Trae Young as not a Popovich guy. Hurley carries himself and respects the team in a certain way, like his work in a certain way, to where I kind of feel like those two guys aren't going to be here. And also, as you were talking about Vando not being in there, I think that's crazy. I think that that means, because again, this is a very calculated leak. The timing was calculated on finals game one day, so you could overshadow it because we were the Lakers, which I actually love. Reeves was isn't a surprise at all. Rui, I know they like Rui, but he's also the most tradable contract we have, unless D'Lo opts in which case that's obviously the most tradable. And Max Christie is technically not even a Laker right now. He's a restricted free agent. So I don't know. I don't know what this specifically says about the offseason plans, but I do think, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, depending on how desperate they might have been, I do think the third star hunting is over. If Donovan Mitchell demands a trade to the Lakers, I don't think they'll pass that up. But otherwise, I think it's going to be smaller moves and kind of see what you could do with Vando's salary, see what you can do with Gabe Vincent's salary. Fino's probably gone. They had literally they have a first round pick that didn't play because he was hurt that they could develop with a college coach coming in Fino, and he straight up was not he was not mentioned. So maybe they'll try. They're gonna try to upgrade, obviously, but yeah, I think third star hunting is over. I think D'Lo is gone. I didn't really think D'Lo was gonna be back, but now I can almost guarantee that he will not be back. He will not even entertain that idea. Yeah, you could take it away, man. I don't. It's tough.
Yeah, and I think you need a new point guard because like I don't D'Lo would not drive with him at all.
Yeah.
But thinking while you're talking, thinking about these three names, Reeves would fit like a glove in this system. Now that I think about it,
Yeah.
I mean they had a player who's like wasn't the most athletic, but he was just fundamentally sound. I forgot his name. Sorry about, but he could dribble, he could shoot, but he wasn't the crazy athletic, and he looked not as good as Reeves because Reeves is an NBA player. But Reeves coming off these screens and being effective with the ball, I saw him in that system. Rui, I already mentioned in the last video with the frequent off ball cuts. These guys and Christie, same thing. All three of these guys, like I saw playing in that UConn system, and I mentioned in the past video how LeBron would be so effective in that scheme. And I'm with you on like the coaches. It's about the players. A coach isn't going to, but the Heat are great because of the scheme,
Yeah.
and it's like, could this possibly be like a generational hire where Hurley is an all-time Laker coach? And that's a crazy thing to say when it's not even official.
Yeah.
But I mean, the guy with the background he has, the scheme he has, and them pivoting towards, we're gonna stick with this young glue. I would really like this team because I mean, think about it. If we had like a Hurley style, if he changes the offense this year, that helps you against the Nuggets where we got swept. The whole thing was we had the talent to compete with them, but for the love of God, what are we doing in this third quarter? I think we lost every third quarter, maybe except the game we won. Maybe this helps, but it's not going to be stay the same. You're going to need a new point guard. You need to upgrade. You still need to upgrade. But if it's a real upgrade at maybe one spot rather than like Vincent over your shoulder, like a real. But the problem is I don't know like what point guard is out there.
Yeah.
Darius Garland, we kind of talked about him. It's a sort of a lateral move to D'Lo. But yeah, I think for me to be pleased, if we get Hurley, I'll be pleased. But if we stay the exact same, I'm not going to expect a championship. If we still upgrade though, and this scheme, this coach like brings out a better offense, then maybe we could really have a chance.
Yeah. I think this scheme is super important because, like you were talking about it in the Hurley video, if you haven't seen it, go check it out, like our initial reactions. And even now, it's genuinely incredibly pleasing to watch. The movement is crazy. The setups, they could run the same set in the same formation 3 different times, and the progressions as you build, it builds off of the last move. It's really crazy to watch, especially compared to a lot of NBA offenses. I won't just say Ham, even though Ham's scheme was fine. But like last year to this year, the stagnation is just it's completely different. I also think that to me, I 100% agree. Reeves would look incredible. I saw some of those cuts and handoffs that straight up were like it was made for Austin Reeves to play. Two, I don't know where Rui fits. Rui's gonna have to
Yeah, true.
be a big man on offense, at least like a legitimate screen setter and popper and like roll man, which I think he can do. But he's not a movement shooter. He's not like a get the ball off of a handoff guy. Ironically, like Torian Prince is. Prince is another guy who I think would look really good in this offense. Not featured, but like he could play a part and shoot, which I think might be why they're trying to bring him back. Like because we saw the AD to hand Prince like dribble handoff that they did probably 6 times a game every time Prince was in, and it was effective because Prince is good going downhill. Anyway, Rui's gonna have to really embrace a I might not get an ISO today up mindset. And part of shrinking a playbook from college to the pros is also not making every single play some like development system movement offense. There's going to have to be some ISO stuff. That just has to be. That's what basketball is. So maybe Rui can eat there, but he has to be okay. And I think also the Lakers have to be okay with Rui potentially having a lesser like box score impact on the game for making $18 million a year. Because the scheme again, we're gonna both dive into it more, and we'll see like plug in the actual like players in the spots and see how it works. I think AD in the what's that guy's name? What's the center's name? Do you remember?
I don't remember, but
Uh,
he.
yeah,
He looks
it's
okay.
he's gonna be a draft pick, but he's like a handoff guy, almost like a Bam Adebayo role for the Heat, except a little more involved and a little closer to the basket, and that is great because AD's playmaking has been great. Like it was greatly improved last year. Like it was very obvious to the eye, but also so many of the actions call for that center to like it's a specifically ending up with him sealing because of someone jumping a screen because they've run like floppy one too many times, or like duck-ins or just random like post looks that are quick and actually based in movement and not just an ISO look. And that will honestly, I think that could change AD's offensive trajectory. And he was unbelievable last year. I want to make that clear. He was incredible. But so much of that was second chance points because his rebounding was so insane. And like early quick offense where he just took it himself. There are very rarely, even in the times when he was scoring early, and even in the Denver series, when people were talking about they stopped running plays or whatever, all of that stuff was just him taking it and going. There's some pick and roll stuff which is fine, which they definitely went away from in the fourth quarter. But there was no real action drawn up for AD to end up in the paint off of a pass and not him dribbling there himself. There was so much ISO and stuff, which I mean is like you're calling that for him, but there were no easy baskets, especially against Denver. Even when he had 30 points in the first half, or and game two or whatever that was, all of it was him jab stepping, just beating his man. If AD can get easy buckets, if LeBron can play AD spot, play the five for 5 minutes in the second quarter, and get easy buckets off a duck in, that makes everything so much easier. So yeah, I think the ceiling, like you're talking about, potential like generational hire for the Lakers. Obviously, it sounds funny. It sounds crazy to say that, and certainly not saying it now because he's not coached a game. He's not even a Laker yet. But the potential for that to happen, the chances of that to happen compared to hiring someone like Borrego or JJ Redick or Sam Cassell are so much higher than otherwise that I think it's definitely worth it to get some hype. But for now, this is some stuff to think about. Matt, do you have any last words before we get out of here?
No, screw Boston, go Mavericks.
Yep, go Mavs. We're recording this game one. Let's go. See you soon. Go Lakers.